Hello everyone, my name is Taylor. I am a single mother who went through a lot of hardships to raise my son Eric. Many single mothers out there have supportive families. I thought I had one too. Turns out I was wrong and I found out the worst way possible. Thankfully, I was able to get back at the people who tried to mess up my and my son's life. My ex-husband Carl is an abusive crap. The very thought of him fills me with disgust. There was a time when I was head over heels in love with him. Things went downhill after I married him. Carl was a great boyfriend, but as a husband, he was a nightmare. He was controlling and slowly started to become abusive. I stayed in that marriage for over 8 years. It was mostly because he had manipulated me and baby-trapped me into being with him. At first, I thought that my son deserved a father, so I didn't leave. However, things took a turn for the worst. One day when Eric was 5, Carl started to hit me very hard. My poor son saw me in pain and tried to stop his dad from beating me. Carl was so deep in anger that he ended up pushing Eric to the floor. That's what it took for me to leave him. One call to CPS and the police was enough to keep Carl away. However, he was determined to get back at me. He said, "You think you can run away from me, Taylor? That will never happen. Sooner or later, I will have you and my son back in my house. You just wait and watch. We are getting a divorce, Carl. There is no way in hell that I will allow you near me and my son again. Even if we divorce, I'll find a way to take Eric. I am his dad, and I have rights. He will be in my home, and so will you. Mark my words." Carl's behavior and his violent history made me very paranoid. My son was extremely traumatized and had to go to therapy to deal with his issues. A long court battle later, me and Carl were finally divorced. I didn't end things there. I literally moved away near my parents and sister to be safe from Carl. I even got restraining orders against him. It was the most horrific time of my life. Carl never knew where I had moved. He could have guessed, but he didn't have my exact address. Being near my parents and sister made me feel safe. However, my parents were not really that supportive of my divorce. They said, "Was it really necessary to get a divorce? You two could have attended therapy and talked it out. It's not a big deal. Yeah, poor little Eric had to lose his dad over your problems. That's so unfair. He must be devastated not being able to see his dad. Are you serious right now? Carl used to beat me up, Mom, and he had put his hands on Eric as well. My son was only trying to protect me. How can you not see what a monster Carl is? Mom, Dad, you two need to be a little sympathetic about Taylor. She has been through a lot. You have no right to make her feel guilty. She did the right thing." But first, Mom and Dad used to try and talk to me about letting Eric see his dad. However, I never allowed it. My parents were never happy with my logic. They always said, "Why don't you let Carl visit Eric? He must miss his son. How would you feel if I wasn't around when you were growing up?" I know I would have been devastated. "Taylor, you lived and prospered in a household with 2 parents. You can't be so selfish with Eric. He deserves the love of his father. Soon he will start resenting you for not allowing his father to stay in his life. What are you even talking about? Eric is absolutely scared of his dad. He begs me not to go near him again. He has no intentions of ever seeing his dad again. And neither do I. You must be influenced by all the violent stories you have told about Carl. You should have not dragged Eric into your issues. He learned to be afraid of Carl from you. That is ridiculous, Dad. If Carl was such a good man and a loving father, he wouldn't have hit me in front of him. In fact, he should not have hit me at all." No matter how hard I tried, they would never agree with my decision. However, as time passed, they seemed to have accepted my decision. They were very close to Eric and were doing a great job being good grandparents. Eric also developed a close connection with them and with his Aunt Blair. I think part of the reason my parents stopped pushing me was the fact that I was financially helping them. Me and Blair sent monthly allowances to our parents because Dad doesn't have a good job while Mom doesn't work. Money might have been a reason why my parents eventually went silent about the matter. Me and Eric were thriving in our new home. Eric joined a local school while I was working a good job in an office. Things were going great, and I was happy surrounded by family. However, I had no idea that my loved ones could be so horrible to me. My second biggest betrayal in life happened just a year after I left Carl. I was all set to go on a business trip to another city. I couldn't take Eric because there was no provisions to keep children at work. So I was in a rut, wondering what to do with Eric. That's when my mom and dad suggested the plan. They said, "So I heard you will be leaving for a business trip soon. Me and Stuart have been thinking about babysitting Eric for you. We can stay back at your house and take care of both Eric and the house. Are you sure about this? I mean, Eric can be a little handful. Plus, you will be leaving your apartment empty. Wouldn't it be a hassle? It's only a matter of days, so I don't think it will be much trouble. Plus, we love Eric and he loves us too. I'm sure you will be thrilled to spend these days in our care. Yeah, the two of us can stay here and babysit for you. Your house will also be safe when you go on this trip. It's like you will get two benefits in one." "Okay, if you are insisting so much, I will leave Eric and my house with you too." I agreed to let them babysit Eric and stay at my house until I came back. I was feeling pretty satisfied with the arrangements since I trusted my parents blindly. I now know that I made a huge mistake. I shouldn't have trusted my parents at all. My business trip happened only a week later. I flew out at night after kissing Eric goodnight. I had to leave a day earlier to prepare for a meeting with big clients the next morning. I called my parents and Eric after reaching the hotel. Everything appeared to be normal. However, I had no idea what was going to happen at night. When I was in my hotel preparing for my meeting for the next day, I got a call from Blair. For some reason, it made me a little panicky. I thought something was wrong at the house. I picked up the call, feeling nervous. Blair said, "Hey, Taylor, have you already flown out for your business trip?" "Yes, Blair. I came here yesterday. I had a late-night flight. It won't be a very long trip." "Have you left Eric with our parents, Taylor?" "Yes. What's wrong?" "They are staying at my house with Eric. They take such good care of him, and he loves to be around them." "Taylor, I don't know how to say this, but I think you made a mistake. You should not have left Eric with our parents. They are planning something, and I don't think you will like it." "What do you mean? Tell me everything right now. You're scaring me." "Taylor, I think Mom and Dad will try to make Eric meet with Carl. They've been against your decision to take out the restraining orders. You know how they hate it, your divorce and everything. I have a bad feeling they will take Eric to Carl." "What the hell are you saying?" No. Mom and Dad can't do that. I'm sure there has been some misunderstanding. They didn't approve of the divorce, but they weren't siding with an abuser." "I know you trust them a lot, but you need to be careful. If you need anything, I'm right here. I want you to remember that." "Thanks, Blair. I'll be careful. Don't worry." Honestly speaking, Blair's words were ringing in my head. It did make me very uneasy, so I decided to call my parents and check up with them. I said, "Hey, Mom, can you hand over the phone to Eric? I want to talk to him a little. I'm missing him a lot." "I can understand, Taylor. Hold on. I'll put him on the phone." "Mom, are you there? Hi, Eric. I'm just checking up on you. Is everything okay? Are you having a good time?" "Mom, I need to tell you something. Grandma and Grandpa have called Dad. Oh my God, my phone is about to die. I'm so sorry, Taylor. Now I have to put it on charge. Why don't you call back later? Eric is fine and playing with us. You don't have to worry about anything. Take care. Bye." Something made me really suspicious about the way Eric tried to talk to me. What was worse was the fact that Mom snatched away the phone and didn't let Eric complete his words. My head was reeling from the situation, so I decided to check the security camera footage. I didn't have any cameras in the house, but I did have them outside. Lo and behold, in my driveway was my freaking ex-husband's car. I was shocked. I remembered the footage and saw the car was in my house. My freaking mom opened the door for him. After looking at the footage, I was immediately enraged. I was also scared for Eric and my own life. Carl was not supposed to have my address. Hell, I have a restraining order filed against him. He should not have been around my son. I was furious and called my parents straight away. Don't worry, I also recorded the call. I said, "Mom, why the hell is Carl at my house? What the hell is going on? Who permitted you to let him in?" God, you need to relax, Taylor. Carl is not here. Why would you even say such a thing? Mom, I can see his car parked in my driveway. Did you forget that I have security cameras outside? I freaking saw you open the door for him. For a while, there was a pin-drop silence on their side. Neither of them spoke a word to me. I could tell that I had made them nervous. However, nothing had prepared me for what happened next. Look, I know you're upset at Carl and us, but you're being very unreasonable. You need to cut us some slack. Yes, I'm very disappointed in you, Taylor. You cannot separate a son from his father. Eric needs Carl in his life. You're not being a good mom. Please tell me you are joking. Carl literally abused me physically. Hell, he even hit Eric when he tried to save me. How can you allow Carl back into his life again? I have a restraining order against him, for God's sake. That was a long time ago, Taylor. We must forgive people. He has changed. Your stupid restraining order was causing a lot of problems. Yes, so I and your mom decided to take matters into our own hands. We gave Carly our address since you won't. We reunited father and son. They are so happy together. Mom, Dad, I will give you exactly 5 minutes to kick Carl out to the curb. If you don't, there will be consequences. Don't threaten us, Taylor. We are your parents. You are 3,000 miles away. Carl will stay here as long as he wants. We are planning a picnic tomorrow. Now I am hanging out before you talk any more nonsense. Mom said that and simply hung up on me. I literally gave them 5 minutes to kick Carl out. When 5 minutes passed, his car was still in the driveway. I had had enough at that point. I felt scared and betrayed. I knew that I had to act fast, so I quickly called law enforcement. I gave them the rundown of the situation and told them to arrest Carl. I also told them to take Eric from my parents and give him to Blair. The police acted fast and reached my house within 5 minutes. Staying near a police station was the best decision of my life. I saw them confront my parents and Carl through the CCTV footage. My mom and dad looked panicked as they went in to arrest Carl. Mom called me and said, "Taylor, what is wrong with you? Did you call the cops on us? How could you do this? You know Carl could go to jail. He will go to jail, Mom, and you will too if you don't leave my house right now. I don't want you and Dad on my property again. I have called Blair. She will come and take Eric. You will never come near us again." How dare you, Taylor? You are a horrible, horrible woman. I wish you were never born. You cannot kick us out and take our grandchildren from us. We won't let that happen. Good luck with that, Mom and Dad. The police will stop and arrest you if you do anything stupid. They know that Eric will go with Blair. You can't do this. We have grandparent rights. We will sue you. Good luck trying to fight me in court. It'll be fun to see the judge react when she realizes that you brought an abusive man into my house to spite a restraining order. You'll be laughed out of court. Before either of my parents could reply, the police came out with handcuffs. Carl was escorted out to the police car and put in the back seat. It gave me relief and satisfaction to see him back with the police. Then the police started to talk to my parents. They were flustered, and my dad was starting to shout at the cops. I'm sure they were trying to argue about Eric. Right then, my sister Blair showed up. She showed the cops her ID and took Eric with her. My parents tried to stop her, but the police intervened and kept them at bay. Then the cops stayed behind until my parents gathered their stuff and left the premises. My sister locked my house and took the keys from my parents. My parents tried to call me and scream at me about the whole situation. However, I didn't receive their calls. They then started to text me with some weird messages. I recorded all their texts because they were getting really interesting. They said, "What you did today wasn't right, Taylor. There will be consequences of this. You have no right to take Eric away from us. Carl, and I can't believe you are my daughter. I hate you. You won't be able to keep us at bay, Taylor. You are a working woman. You won't be with Eric all the time. We will get visitation from the court, and then we will take Eric away from you. One CPS call from us can take Eric away from you. If you think you are smart, we are much smarter than you. We will call CPS and tell them some bad stuff. They'll place Eric in our care, and he'll never return to you. That will never happen. Eric will stay with me, and I will do everything in my power to keep him safe. We know where Eric goes to school, Taylor. We know your address. We'll find a way to be with him. You cannot stop us. Yeah, if you act crazy, we will take him away from you. You will never see him again." My parents are stupid. Yes, I can see now that they are horrible people, but they are also very stupid. They still expect that everything will go their way. They had no idea what I was going to do. Only time will show them. He had already made a huge mistake teaming up with my parents. He would suffer as well. I quickly completed all my work and returned home as soon as possible. Blair kept Eric safe, and he was staying at her house until then. Eric was extremely relieved to see me again. He said, "Mom, you came back. I thought you won't come back for me." "Eric, what are you saying?" "I went on a business trip. Of course, I was coming back." "Dad said you had left me, Mom. He said that he will take me away with him. He showed me pictures of his house and everything. I was scared. I didn't want to go with him." "Eric, listen to me. I will never let Carl take you or even be near you again. I'm not going anywhere, I promise you, son." I spent a long time consoling Eric and making sure he was okay. Apparently, Carl was talking about me abandoning him and how he was there to take Eric away. I was freaking pissed at Carl. CPS did get involved and heard Eric's account. They recommended therapy, and Eric is already going to one. I have also signed up for group therapy for me and Eric. Our therapist is a great woman and really helps us get over our trauma. All the documentation of crimes committed by Carl was used by my lawyer in court. He was charged with attempted kidnapping and violating a restraining order. He's actually looking at jail time. I'm currently in the process of making Carl terminate his rights to Eric. My son deserves a good dad and not an abuser like Carl. My lawyer is very skilled, and we are hoping for a smooth process. As for my parents, they did try to sue me for grandparent rights. The judge took one look at my court history and the texts they sent and dismissed the case. I went a step ahead to get restraining orders against them. The judge approved that straight away. Currently, I have shifted with my son to a different state. I got a promotion at work and took a higher position in a different city. It helped me move away from my parents. Blair does visit me from time to time. She has even cut off contact with our parents and is thinking of moving to my city. My parents are having a hard time with money. Since Blair and I have both stopped helping them out, they were forced to look for extra jobs. Lawyer fees drained their savings and have made them really financially unstable. Meanwhile, my son and I are thriving in this new environment. I have no intention of ever contacting my parents or allowing Carl to traumatize my son again.
"These are worthless, just like you," Amanda shouted, throwing another one of my paintings into her truck. "You're embarrassing our family with this nonsense. I'm taking these to the dump where they belong." I stood frozen, my hands shaking as I watched my sister-in-law destroy 5 years of my work. "My name is Olivia. And at 32, I never imagined my own family would steal my art in the name of helping me. Please, those paintings mean everything to me, I begged. But Amanda just laughed. Then maybe you should have spent more time being a good wife instead of wasting your life on this junk, she said, holding up my favorite painting of a night sky. I reached for it, but she pushed me back. Behind her, my mother-in-law, Margaret, stood with her arms crossed, watching. Amanda's right, dear, she said with fake concern. These silly paintings are distracting you from your real duties. I knew the truth. Last week, I was invited to an art show, my first chance to share my work. But Amanda, who always saw herself as the creative one in the family, couldn't stand the thought of me getting any attention. She grabbed another painting, a portrait of an elderly woman I had carefully painted. This one deserves special treatment, she said, raising her knee to break the canvas. Stop. I tried to stop her, but Margaret grabbed my arm. Let her do this, Olivia. You're being dramatic. I watched helplessly as Amanda loaded the last of my paintings into her truck. All my hard work gone. The worst part, my husband, Michael, was at work, unaware of what was happening. Or maybe he did know. He had been distant lately, spending more time at the office. There, Amanda said, brushing off her hands. Now you can focus on being the wife Michael deserves. As they drove away, I sank to the garage floor, surrounded by empty easels and scattered brushes. The space that had been my safe place now felt hollow. But beneath my sadness, something stronger stirred, determination. What Amanda and Margaret didn't know was that I had taken photos of every piece I'd ever created. I had proof. Even more importantly, I had been sharing my work online for years under the name OV Knight, building a following they knew nothing about. I grabbed my phone and called my best friend, Lauren. They did what? She shouted. They took everything, I said, my voice shaking. That's theft, Liv. I'll make some calls, she said. Later that evening, when Michael came home, I told him what had happened. He loosened his tie and sighed. Maybe they're right, he said. Your art, it's not exactly helping our future. Amanda just wants what's best for the family. I stared at him, the man who once loved watching me paint. Had he changed or had I just been blind? Our future? I asked. Or your future at your father's firm? He didn't answer. He just walked upstairs. His phone buzzed on the counter. I glanced at the screen. Can't wait to see you tomorrow, baby. Hope you told your wife about the late meeting. Jessica. Everything clicked. His late nights, his distance, his family's sudden push to fix me. They weren't just trying to stop me from the art show. They were making room for someone else in my place. I went to the office, opened my laptop, and logged into my OV Knight account. My latest post had thousands of likes, with people praising my art. I checked my email. An art dealer from New York wanted to feature me in an upcoming show. I smiled. Amanda thought she had destroyed my future. She had no idea who I really was or what I was capable of. I typed my reply, steady and sure. Thank you for your interest. I'd love to discuss this further. This wasn't the end. It was just the beginning. 3 months passed in a blur of careful planning and quiet observation. I rented a small studio apartment using money I'd saved from selling my digital art online. Another talent my in-laws never knew about. Michael barely noticed my increasing absences, too preoccupied with his late meetings with Jessica. I was in my new studio working on a commission piece when Lauren called. Liv, you need to get down to the museum right now. Her voice was tight with controlled anger. Remember that special exhibition I told you about? The one showcasing emerging local talent. Yes. What about it? Your paintings are here. All of them, and guess who's claiming to be the artist? My brush clattered to the floor. Amanda. She's calling herself AM Knight. Real creative, right? She's here right now, giving interviews about her artistic journey and her inspiration from nature and human struggles. I felt oddly calm as I grabbed my keys. Send me pictures. I'm on my way. When I arrived at the museum, the exhibition hall was crowded with art enthusiasts and local media. Through the glass doors, I could see Amanda, dressed in an expensive bohemian outfit that screamed trying too hard to look artistic, gesturing dramatically in front of my night sky painting. That piece represents the struggle between light and darkness, I heard her say to a group of reporters. I spent countless nights perfecting the technique. Lauren met me at the side entrance, her face flushed with anger. She's been spinning this story for weeks. Claims she's been painting in secret for years, afraid to share her talent with the world. The gallery owner is eating it up. I pulled out my phone and opened my encrypted cloud storage. Good thing I keep receipts. Every painting had been documented from first sketch to final brushstroke. I had videos of myself working on them, dated photos, even early versions and studies. More importantly, I had my entire OV Night portfolio, works in the same distinctive style that predated anything Amanda was claiming as hers. Mrs. Rhodes. A distinguished-looking man approached Lauren. The Times reporter is asking about the authentication process for the A&M Night collection. Actually, I stepped forward. I can help with that. The next few minutes were chaos. I introduced myself and calmly opened my phone gallery. As I swiped through the evidence, Amanda's face turned from confusion to horror. She tried to maintain her composure, but I could see panic setting in. "These are clearly forgeries," she sputtered. "She's trying to steal my moment." "Interesting theory," I replied, pulling up a video of myself working on the elderly woman's portrait, especially since this was posted on OV Night's account 6 months ago. "Tell me, Amanda, how did you manage to perfectly replicate a painting that already existed?" The gallery owner was now looking between the paintings and my documentation, his expression growing increasingly grave. Margaret, who had been proudly watching from the corner, rushed forward. "This is ridiculous. Olivia has always been jealous of Amanda's talents. She's clearly fabricated all of this." Lauren cleared her throat. "Actually, as the museum's curator, I can confirm that OV Night's work has been verified and tracked for years. We've been following the artist's development quite closely." The whispers started spreading through the crowd. Phones came out. People started looking up OV Night's portfolio. Amanda's carefully constructed lie was unraveling thread by thread. "I can explain," Amanda started, but the gallery owner cut her off. "I think we've seen enough. Security, please ensure these pieces are secured. We'll need to document everything for the police report." "Police?" Margaret's voice went up an octave. "Surely we can handle this as a family matter." I turned to face her, years of suppressed anger finally surfacing. "Like how you handled taking my paintings? Or how you've been handling Michael's affair with Jessica?" The silence that followed was deafening. Margaret's face went white. Clearly, she hadn't known about Jessica, or at least hadn't known that I knew. "That's right," I continued, my voice carrying across the now silent gallery. "While you've been so focused on controlling my life and stealing my art, you missed what was happening right under your nose. But don't worry, I have evidence of that too." Amanda started to say something, but Margaret grabbed her arm, finally realizing just how badly they'd miscalculated. I watched them hurry toward the exit, their perfect facade crumbling with every step. The gallery owner turned to me, genuine admiration in his eyes. "You're OV Night? We've been trying to contact you for months about a major exhibition." I smiled, thinking of the studio apartment where my newest works were taking shape. "I'm listening." As security began carefully documenting and removing my stolen paintings, Lauren squeezed my arm. "Are you okay?" I looked around the gallery, at the people still studying my work with genuine appreciation, at Amanda's abandoned bohemian shawl lying forgotten on a chair, at the business cards being pressed into my hands by collectors and gallery owners. "You know what? I really am." My phone buzzed. Michael calling, probably wondering why his mother was calling him in a panic. I declined the call and turned back to the gallery owner. "Now about that exhibition." Word spread quickly in the art world, and even faster in family circles. By morning, Amanda's attempt to steal my paintings was all over the local news. Headlines read, "Emerging artist exposed as fraud. Sister-in-law reveals truth." My online portfolio, OV Night, exploded with new followers, and galleries across the country were reaching out. Michael came home that evening, his face filled with anger and confusion. "What have you done?" he demanded. "Mom's a mess. Amanda's reputation is ruined." I kept packing my art supplies into boxes, each movement feeling like a step toward freedom. I told the truth, something your family has a problem with. What's that supposed to mean? I pulled out my phone and played a video, security footage of Amanda and Margaret loading my paintings into the truck. "It means I'm done pretending. Done letting your family destroy what matters to me. And done ignoring your affair with Jessica." Michael's face turned pale. "How did you? Does it matter?" What matters is that I'm leaving. The divorce papers are on the kitchen counter. Your signature spot is marked. Divorce? You can't be serious. Where will you even go? I pointed to a stack of business cards. Turns out, when you stop hiding your talent, opportunities come to you. The National Gallery wants to feature my work, the real artist, not your sister's cheap copies. As if on cue, my phone rang. Lauren, updating me on the police investigation. Michael watched as I calmly discussed evidence and documentation. His expression changed. He was finally seeing me, not as a wife with a hobby, but as a real artist. I never knew, he said quietly. You never wanted to know. You were too busy making me fit into your family's mold. But guess what? The mold broke. The next few weeks were a whirlwind. While my lawyers handled the divorce and Amanda's legal troubles, I focused on preparing for my first major solo exhibition. The National Gallery didn't just want my art, they wanted my story. Margaret tried to stop it, of course. She showed up at my studio, teary-eyed. We only wanted what was best for the family, she pleaded. No, I corrected, you wanted what was best for your image. There's a difference. But we're family. Family doesn't steal from each other. Family doesn't cover up affairs. Family doesn't crush someone's dreams. She left without another word. Opening night of my exhibition was everything I had dreamed of. My paintings were displayed with my name proudly beside them. Critics praised my work. Collectors made offers that would have made Amanda jealous. Lauren found me standing in front of my night sky painting, the one Amanda had nearly destroyed. Look at you, she said with a grin. The toast of the art world. Not bad for a worthless hobby, I laughed. As I moved through the gallery, I overheard whispers about Amanda's upcoming trial and Michael's divorce. Word was Jessica had already moved on, leaving him alone to deal with his family's downfall. But those stories weren't mine anymore. My story was on these walls, in every brushstroke. It was in the new art I was creating, free from expectations, free from limits. The elderly woman I had painted came to the exhibition. She stood in front of her portrait, eyes glistening with tears. You saw me, she whispered. You really saw me. That's what art was about, seeing people, understanding them. Something my old family had never done. 5 years later, my paintings hang in major galleries worldwide. Ovi Night is no longer a mystery. I stepped into my identity proudly. Amanda's theft became part of my success story. Sometimes I hear updates about them. Amanda's failed career, Margaret's lost social status, Michael's lonely life. But I don't focus on them. I focus on my art. The latest piece in my studio is a self-portrait, not of my face, but of my hands holding a paintbrush, creating something new. Behind it, barely visible, is the shadow of my old garage studio, transformed into wings. Some call it my masterpiece. I call it freedom. The call came on our last day in Paris. I was packing while my husband, Michael, was in the shower, getting ready for our flight home. The number on my phone was familiar. His mother, Patricia. You're homeless now, she said, her voice full of triumph. I sold your house while you were away. My son doesn't need you anymore. I paused, holding a dress in my hands. Instead of panicking, I smiled. Check the property records, I said calmly. What? Her confidence wavered. You should check before you make any more claims. Silence. I could hear her breathing, getting more frustrated. This is impossible, she finally said. The sale went through yesterday. I have the papers right here. Do you? I asked. And whose name is on those papers? My name is Emma, and for the past 5 years, Patricia has tried to push me out of Michael's life. She never thought I was good enough for her son. What she didn't know was that I was always prepared. The house is in Michael's name, she insisted. He inherited it from his father. I have power of attorney. I can sell it. I zipped my suitcase. Actually, Patricia, we put the house in both our names 3 years ago. Michael signed the papers himself. And your power of attorney was revoked last year after you tried to take money from our joint account. You're lying, she hissed. Just then, Michael walked in, his hair still damp from the shower. What's going on? He asked. I put the phone on speaker. Patricia's voice was rising. Michael, tell her she's wrong. Tell her about the sale, about Jessica. Michael's face darkened. Jessica? Mom, what did you do? Patricia had tried to sell our house to Jessica Martinez, Michael's ex-girlfriend. The same woman who had recently reappeared in town and kept accidentally running into Michael. She's perfect for you, Patricia insisted. From a good family, proper connections, not some book obsessed. Stop, Michael said firmly. What you did is not just wrong, it's illegal. But I have the papers. I could hear her shuffling through them. Wait, this can't be right. I knew exactly what she was seeing, the truth. The house was legally in both our names, and she had no right to sell it. Any money she had taken from Jessica would have to be returned. But Jessica already paid a deposit. She's moving in next week. Michael ran a hand through his hair, trying to stay calm. Mom, call Jessica and tell her there's been a mistake. The house is not for sale. Michael, please, Patricia pleaded. We'll talk tomorrow, he said, then hung up. He pulled me into a hug. I'm so sorry, he whispered. I hugged him back. It's okay. I knew she'd try something like this. That's why we updated the paperwork. He pulled back and smiled. My smart, prepared wife. What would I do without you? Probably be living with Jessica by now, I joked. On the flight home, Michael turned to me. How did you know Mom would try this? I thought about the conversation I had overheard months ago. Patricia and Jessica whispering about how Michael deserved better and needed saving from me. I remembered how Patricia had pushed us to take this vacation, offering to watch the house while we were gone. Let's just say she's not as subtle as she thinks she is, I said, squeezing his hand. As the plane descended, I smiled. Patricia would be furious, Jessica would be disappointed, and there would be drama waiting for us. But our home was still ours, and that was all that mattered. Sometimes the best way to win wasn't with anger or arguments, it was simply by being prepared. The house looked exactly as we left it 2 weeks ago, from the carefully tended flower beds to the fresh paint on the shutters. But any sense of homecoming peace was shattered by the sight of Patricia's Mercedes in our driveway, Jessica's red Audi parked right behind it. Well, Michael sighed, pulling in beside them. Looks like we're having a welcome home committee. I squeezed his hand. Ready? Before he could answer, the front door burst open. Patricia stormed out, her designer heels clicking against the pavement, Jessica trailing behind her like an eager shadow. Michael. Patricia's voice carried across the yard. Thank goodness you're home. We need to sort this mess out immediately. I stepped out of the car, noticing how Jessica's eyes fixed on Michael, a practiced smile playing on her lips. She'd done something different with her hair since I'd last seen her. It was lighter now, styled in the way Michael used to mention he liked back in college. The only mess here, Michael said firmly, is the one you created. Mom, the house was never yours to sell. Don't be ridiculous, Patricia snapped. I was only thinking of your future. Jessica's father has offered her a position at his firm. She needs a suitable home, and you need. What I need, Michael cut in, is for both of you to leave. Now. Jessica stepped forward, her smile wavering slightly. Michael, please. Your mother explained everything. How unhappy you've been, how you've been looking for a way out. I know we have another chance if. Unhappy? I couldn't help but laugh. Is that what you told her, Patricia? That your son was miserable in his marriage while we were celebrating our anniversary in Paris? Patricia's face flushed. He's too kind to tell you the truth. Always trying to spare everyone's feelings, just like his father. But I know my son. Do you? Michael's voice was quiet but sharp. Because the Michael you're describing, the one who wants to leave his wife for his ex-girlfriend, the one who's secretly miserable, I don't recognize him. That's a fiction you've created to justify your own actions. I moved toward the front door, keys in hand. This conversation is over. You both need to leave. I have a signed contract. Jessica burst out, waving a folder of papers. I gave Patricia a deposit, $20,000. You can't just ignore a legal agreement. A contract signed under false pretenses isn't legal, I replied calmly. You're lucky we're not pressing charges for attempted property fraud. Patricia's face went pale. You wouldn't dare. I'm his mother. A mother would try to sell her son's house without permission? I inserted my key into the lock. Who conspired with his ex-girlfriend to break up his marriage? You're right, Patricia. No real mother would dare do that. The words hit home. Patricia staggered back slightly as if I physically struck her. Jessica's confident facade crumbled entirely. The deposit, she stammered. I need that money back. My father. We'll be very interested to hear how you tried to buy a house without proper authority, Michael finished. Mom, you'll return Jessica's deposit immediately. And then we're going to have a long conversation about boundaries. But, now Mom. I push open the front door, breathing in a familiar scent of home. Behind me, I could hear Patricia's protests growing weaker, Jessica's heels clicking on pavement as she retreated to her car. Michael stood his ground, quiet but unmovable, as his mother finally began to understand the magnitude of what she'd done. Later that evening, after Patricia had written a check to Jessica with shaking hands and both women had left, Michael and I sat on our back porch. The sunset painted the sky in shades of pink and gold, the same colors we'd washed over Paris just days ago. I called Dad's old lawyer, Michael said, breaking our comfortable silence. He's drawing up papers to legally prevent Mom from ever claiming power of attorney again. I leaned my head against his shoulder. How are you feeling about everything? He was quiet for a moment, his fingers absently tracing patterns on my arm. Angry, disappointed, but also relieved in a way. I've spent so many years making excuses for her behavior, trying to see the best intentions behind her actions. But this time she went too far. She did it because she loves you, I offered, though we both knew that didn't excuse anything. No, he said firmly. She did it because she wants to control me. There's a difference. He turned to face me, his eyes serious. You know what really gets me? When you caught wind of her plan, you didn't get angry or confront her. You just quietly made sure she couldn't succeed. I smiled, thinking of all the careful preparations, the updated paperwork, the quiet legal consultations. Sometimes the best defense is good documentation. He laughed, pulling me closer, my librarian warrior. Defending our home with property records and legal documents. Don't forget the power of attorney forms, I teased. Those were particularly effective. As night fell around us, we stayed on the porch, talking softly about Paris, about the future, about the boundaries we'd need to establish with Patricia going forward. Our home stood solid behind us, protected not by locks and alarms, but by preparation, foresight, and the strength of our partnership. Patricia had tried to take my home, thinking I was weak. Instead, she'd learned that sometimes the quietest people are the ones you should watch out for the most. 3 months after the failed attempt to sell our house, I was shelving books in the library's quiet reading room when an unexpected visitor arrived. Patricia stood among the stacks, looking smaller somehow in her expensive clothes, her usual confidence dimmed. Emma, she said softly, mindful of the library's silence policy, do you have a moment? I finished placing the last book before turning to face her. We hadn't seen each other since that day in our driveway. Michael had been handling all communication with his mother, insisting on strict boundaries and limited contact. My office, I said, leading her to the small room tucked behind the reference section. She sat in a visitor's chair, smoothing her skirt with trembling hands. On my desk, a framed photo from our Paris trip sat on my desk, showing Michael and me laughing at a sidewalk cafe. Patricia's eyes locked onto it. He looks happy, she said softly. I haven't seen him smile like that since before you tried to sell our house to his ex-girlfriend. I finished, keeping my voice steady. She flinched. I deserve that. I deserve worse. She reached into her designer handbag and pulled out an envelope. I came to give you this. Inside was a formal apology letter, one for me and one for Michael. Along with it were documents showing she'd had started counseling. My therapist helped me understand some things, she said, her voice shaking. About control, about letting go, about how my fear of losing Michael made me try to control his life, and how that only pushed him away. I studied the woman who had spent years trying to ruin my marriage. Why now, Patricia? Because I miss my son, she admitted, tears forming in her eyes. He won't talk to me except through lawyers. And I finally realized my actions didn't just hurt you, they hurt him too. She wiped her eyes. And because you were right about something. What's that? No real mother would do what I did. I want to be a real mother again if he'll let me. I thought about the kind, loving mother Michael had once described before fear and control took over. Maybe she was still in there, buried beneath years of manipulation. It will take time, I said. Trust isn't easily repaired. I know, she straightened her shoulders, but I'm willing to do the work. She'd pause at the door. Thank you, Emma, not just for listening, but for loving my son enough to protect him, even from me. After she left, I sat at my desk for a long time, staring at the Paris photo. That evening, I told Michael about our conversation over dinner. "She came to see you," he asked, setting down his fork. "Why didn't you call me?" "Because she needed to take that step herself," I said, "to show she could respect boundaries while trying to make things right." He read the letter carefully. "Counseling. That's new. Mom always said therapy was for other people." "People can change," I said gently, "if they want to." 2 weeks later, we invited Patricia over for dinner. It was awkward at first, but as the evening went on, something shifted. Patricia asked about our Paris trip and listened, really listened, as we shared stories. She didn't mention Jessica, make snide remarks about my career, or suggest how Michael could do better. Instead, she admitted the truth. "I was so afraid of losing you," she told Michael, "that I never realized I was pushing you away." Over time, these dinners became a habit. Patricia kept going to therapy, learning to show love without control. She even started volunteering at the library's children's program, surprising us all with her gentler side. A year after the failed house sale, we had news to share. Michael squeezed my hand as I spoke. "We're turning the guest room into a nursery," I said. "You're going to be a grandmother." Patricia's eyes filled with tears, but this time, they were happy ones. "A baby. Really?" She reached for her phone, then hesitated. "Would it be okay if I shared the news, or would you rather tell people yourselves?" Michael and I exchanged a glance, noticing her newfound respect for boundaries. "You can tell people, Mom," Michael said warmly. "That's what grandmothers do." Later that night, as we stood in the nursery, I thought about how much had changed. The room Patricia had once tried to give to Jessica would now belong to her grandchild. The house she'd had tried to sell would be filled with love and laughter. Michael wrapped his arms around me. "You're thinking too hard," he teased. I smiled, just appreciating how things work out, how people can surprise you. "Speaking of surprises," he grinned, "want to bet how many parenting books Mom brings over tomorrow?" "No bet," I laughed. "But at least this time, she'll ask before rearranging the nursery." The true victory wasn't in stopping Patricia's schemes. It was in giving her the chance to change, to be the mother Michael had once known and the grandmother she was meant to be. Sometimes the best ending isn't about winning. It's about healing, rebuilding, and making something stronger than before.